Right, so today is Wednesday the 26th of August 2026 and I'm not in a very happy mood. This action that's being organised and rigged up around me is getting nastier and nastier and nastier. Putting rough types of people in my direction or threats in my direction is on the increase. They seem to put the most dangerous people in my direction lately. So obviously yesterday when I was at Crewkern, after I went to the I had a person shouting from a car to another person next to me when I was about to cross the road, and they were talking about smashing each other out. So obviously he said he's going to go back around, so I left the area. And obviously there's been situations which are similar today which I've had to be in the midst of. So as far as today goes, angling and timing vehicles to smash into me or overhanging trailers, timing drain cover to be smashed over as I walk past the drain cover. There's been about 100 people roughly trying to cough or sneeze in my face or turn their head ready to speak or whatever, and then suddenly that occurs. There's been about 50 people that have been vaping at me, causing me to have to put up with a raspberry exhaled vaping stench. They've been timing lookalikes to people who sexually abused me as a child tying to an erection via the loud bike, which occurs regardless, and that's happened about 500 times today. Also, all I'm seeing is teenage mothers pushing their mistakes, and also setups to apply that you should be with a stay-or-old bag or an ugly piece of shit that's negative looking with rough skin, who is uglier and older than people who sexually abused me as a child at the age they were when it happened. So they've been doing that, making suggestions that will offend my father in ways that are very far-fetched, and I'm not happy about the suggestion that's being made. While trying to do these recordings initially, they were stopping me do it in Bridport, packing everywhere, at the church, the outside, with rough types of people mostly, and they forced me out of Bridport onto the bus to go to Bearminster. Now initially I couldn't get into this church either, but I managed to get around that by going into the church because the lady that was in there has left now. So I had to initially do the recording in the toilet, where I got a load of threats when I walked out the toilet via a teenager pushing a buggy, and then a loud bike tying to an erection or a tingling rim and itching bell end or whatever. No matter what it is, they need to get that bike tied on the nail every single fucking time with never a miss, and I'm getting pissed off of it. There's always, most days it's 700 at least. Most days. Right, so that's that. So the next thing is my movement on the path. They forced me to change directions or forced me out of a shop with about 200 occurrences where I've had to change direction because of all this activity that's being rigged up around me, causing everyone's movement to be all buckled around me. So you have to move because you don't know if that person's just going to suddenly sneeze in your face or whatever. So I've had to, change directions over 200 times on the path in under 1 hour. I was only there for what? About an hour, just under an hour, and then I had to go to Bearminster because of the situation of all the corrupt forces controlling my movement on the path. You just can't go anywhere without being controlled. And all the problem is, all the girls out there, they're in relationships, they've all got a ring on their finger, or they're all kissing and cuddling their boyfriends after the age of about 12. And they're all like mothers by the age of 20. 23 is a push. This is why I'm having great fucking difficulty finding anyone. I've not had anyone at all in the 45 years I've been on this earth. No one has ever let me have anyone. No one's ever given me the chance. And you just can't find anyone single. Because what happens is, when someone's split up with their boyfriend or girlfriend, the perverted guys out there, knowing that they're sexual types of people, are going to grab them as fast as they possibly can before anybody else does. And they're all linked and they're all friends to that person. And they won't look elsewhere or try and help people out that have never had anyone who are singled out away from all their friends, which has left me with no choice but to do it online But every time I go online and do it, they're asking for gift cards or money for travel costs or flights to come into the UK, and I keep getting scammed. And 99.9% of them are all scammers. Right, so I want to get to the serious part of the recording, because the main bit of this recording today is based on two things, and I'm not very happy about the suggestions either. So the first thing, this is what this actual recording is supposed to be about, not me having to state all the day's problems, but obviously the day's problems is being mentioned because I want to mention it because I'm not happy about it. But here is the main reason for the recording today. So let's tell you what these two things are, shall we? That lady that spoke to me, who asked me if I was single, and she said I'm single, and said, "You want to come to mine?" When I was at the bus stop last year, unfortunately, it was the last bus home. I didn't realise they changed the times to a later time, so I didn't take the risk of getting a later bus. And it's in the early days of going to Bridport, possibly the first or second time I went to Bridport in maybe a couple of years, I don't know, definitely months and months. When she asked, there was a couple of people walking past me, mistaking me as Sylvain, and giving me threats, threatening to smash me in or to weapon me down or to shoot me dead on sexual grounds. Anyway, there was a couple of people around the back where she said she lived, and they said, "I'm going to fucking smash them out in a minute," as Sylvain. And because of that, this is what broke up the conversation, and where I said I'll meet her up tomorrow when I feel safer. And I said, "Can you meet me here at a certain time?" So she said yes. When that day came, she wasn't there. I never saw her for a couple of months, or at least at some time, I don't know how long. And then obviously she was with a boyfriend. That went on for about until 3 months ago, something like that. Possibly 4 months at a push. Then I saw her on a couple of occasions where she was single. She appeared single again, but I don't know. But obviously, at the time that I saw her, I couldn't engage in a conversation because I was in a situation where they were putting rough people in my direction or timing people that are threatening to smash me out at the times that I see her, making it very difficult to have communication with her when this is happening. Mind you, that's been the same all my life. Whenever I come to a person I want to try and speak to, they keep on putting these nasty types of people in my direction to stop me doing this. Anyway, if this person's telling the truth, then she's not alive today. So it looked like the bloke I actually saw on that day when she spoke to me that she knew and spoke to, but I can't guarantee it because I don't remember his face very well. But he had a quick conversation with me and sort of said about this lady, and saying that the one you were chatting to at the bus stop, she's been in an accident and she's lost her life. So I'm assuming it's a vehicle accident. I wasn't told, I didn't ask the question, and then just had a quick conversation, speaking, and basically he was sort of wondering how I knew this person and whatever, sort of. So I sort of just spoke to him. He's a friendly chap. So yeah, and basically I just ended it on a happy note, and then left it there basically. Right, so the second thing I want to mention has annoyed me. This is very small-minded. Whoever's controlling this force around me, or whatever's causing it, whether it's caused by God, whether it's caused by the elite, or whether it's just coincidence, I do not know. But the suggestion today is not very clever. And this is the main reason for the recording, for that last bit of information that I mentioned, and what I'm about to mention now. Right, so basically, I've been mentioning Ella on a frequent basis, which is a 4-letter name that I'm not really supposed to be mentioning, because I got a safeguarding on me because of the age gap, and that she could be vulnerable because of my age by people in authority at authority places. So this is why they changed her work courses from going to the community day to going somewhere else, and why I only saw her on that one specific day, going back to January the 14th, 2026. Now, obviously, the rules have slacked slightly when it comes to a specific person, and obviously I've given information out that's a bit more serious than they thought, but they said, you'll have to look for somebody different. That's what they sort of said, because they're saying that Ella's too young for you. But anyway, although it's legal, I do want to mention the story of today. However, although that suggestion is pinpointing a connection to God as a part of God, with the religious name and uncoverings of all the music tracks and all the suggestions and the adverts suggesting that I'm in a relationship with her, and so on and so on. The story goes on and on when it comes to that specific person. And the uncovering of all these things is all through. But what I want to mention is the suggestion that's being mapped up and rigged up around me today of what the suggestion's been like today. Right, so to simplify it, to make it easier for you to understand, they got me down as half a god. Just in time, half a god. And they got a girl which has got no name, because it didn't make any suggestions of any name, to apply that sorry, I say lady, I mean, not a girl. So they've got a lady, which are applying is the other half of God. So what they're saying is that if Justin, which is myself, was to go with this lady, that would be two half of gods made into one God, and that would be the doorway to heaven and the opening. I don't believe in all that rubbish when it comes to that. And time that fucking loud bike again, tying to a bloody erection. Although it's only... Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? And a seagull makes a laugh. There's been a lot of seagull sounds today. Anything from telling me to fuck people that raped me as a child, to telling me I'm being weaponed down, to being shot or going to the fire of hell, or not having anyone. There's been a lot of that. But the main one is to tell me to have sex with people that raped me as a child, and that I'm being weaponed down. But, and accusing me of raping children and women. But there's nothing you can do about it. So back to the story. They are applying that they've deliberately caused this other half of God to turn against me, so that we don't go together. So basically they're applying that they have the power, they have the technology, and that they've won the war, suggesting that we've deliberately fucked this person up and caused her to go in a relationship, and they deliberately made that person pregnant to fuck up a return of God, or to open the doorway to heaven through having sex with each other. And then applying that they've won the power, basically, but doing it in a way where it's done in like a posh sort of very well off type suggestion type way, if you get what I'm saying. Well, yes, they have won. Whoever this is, they have deliberately messed it up, because I still have no one. And at 45, I'm not very happy about it. I'm not really... I think the suggestion of return of Christ coming through me is absolutely ridiculous in these setups, because that's not going to happen. I'm not even religious, and I don't even believe in Christ. But I still go to religious places, mainly to do recordings, or to photograph church windows, or to photograph old things in churches, or to wait for a bus or whatever, if I'm using public transport. So I still go in these places, but I don't go in there for the religious side of things, because I don't believe in religion. I'm more spiritual than religious. So, yeah, like I said, they've made the suggestion that I've lost the other half of God, meaning the girlfriend that's supposed to be for me, that has been deliberately put through, which God set out for me to go with, which can't happen now, because they buckled it up by causing her to get a boyfriend and making her pregnant. So obviously the next thing that they suggest after that is to tell me that because they've done this and because they messed it up, they're going back to their stupid ideas of what they were doing in from 2003 onwards, is to apply that Jesus will have to kick back in you and rebirth through Jesus Christ kicking in you without you having sex, and doing it in that stupid, donut, brainless, small-minded way to apply that Jesus Christ that they're going to press a button on you and that Jesus is going to come back in you that way, rather than you having sex with the other half of God. And pissing me off with the setups that they're suggesting with all that today. So that's the two things I wanted to mention. How small-minded can this force around me get? And I will mention something else. There is some form of a setup that occurred earlier, but it wasn't really connected to the setups that are occurring. It seems to just suggest that to suggest money, suggest rich, or to suggest that they're well off. But it wasn't making much suggestion, because I'm not rich, I'm not well off, or anything like that. And that they get and sexuality, basically. That's what they're applying. But it didn't come as such as a setup. It's sort of on the road coming in from Yeovil into Bridport, where all the other sort of suggestions were around Bridport or Bearminster, if you get what I'm saying. So all this that I'm mentioning now is done in a fixed way. This is fixed and this is deliberate. This suggestion was very strong in the suggestion of what was occurring today, of where they're suggesting that we've messed it up for you going with that other half of God as being your girlfriend. This was really, and it was like in a very controlled way. It's like they even stopping me get on the path, or they're putting obstacles to stop me going in one direction to the other, or pausing me to get that message out, to cause that to occur in that way, to form a message of what I'm telling you now. Well, because this has happened, can someone actually replace the other half of God for me? Because, I mean, just supposing this is actually a connection of God, and it's a real God, and that really is supposed to go with me, then they've cut everyone's throat, sliced everyone's wrist. However, even though I know that, even if that's the case, it would be helpful if I could have sex for the first time in my life properly, wouldn't it? So a replacement would be helpful, wouldn't it? Even though they've caused God to turn against me, if that is real. I don't believe that, but that's the suggestion that they want to make. They want to make the suggestion that I'm half of God that's going with the other half of God, which I'm suspecting is Ella, but I do not know. They could mean anyone. Either way, when it comes to Ella, it's too late, because she's got a safeguarding and I got a safeguarding because of stuff that I put on Facebook about liking her and wanting to get to know her better, and saying I can't find her, or I don't, can someone help me, and all that sort of stuff, which I'm not allowed to mention anymore. I can mention her name because I'm not giving a surname. I can mention certain bits and pieces, but I can't go into an area where I'm trying to say, where I ask people to try and help me find that person or anything like that, because I can get in serious deep trouble, or could get banned from using the internet for good, and have curfews held on me to stop me going out, or they have suggested that it could even lead you into jail. So that's why I've had to stop putting that sort of information on there. I'm not exactly sure how they found out, but someone in authority was told about my posts on Facebook and I got in trouble. I'm suspecting it was Lucy, but I don't want to get her involved because it's not the right thing to do. I can't go any further on where she's from or who she is or anything like that, because I can get in trouble. I'm just giving the name as a name, but it might not even be her that reported it, but someone did. So yeah, this Ella has gone for good, even though her name is unrevealed in 250 jungle tracks, including Tango Future Followers, the VIP or the unreleased mix. There's a track I found the other day called Swift and Zinc Crazed. I liked it on first listen, and it says Ella 3 times in the middle part of that track. There's future predicted jungle mixes that I had back in the day, which are telling me that I'm going with Ella when I'm 45, and that I'm going to have sex with Ella at 45. That's all through. There are adverts, commercials, and even in the mainstream media, they've been suggesting that I'm going with Ella, or got ads that's with Ella's looking face, with my looking face, kissing and cuddling in a happy relationship. They've blown it, the system, the people that have caused this, or whatever's causing all this to occur. Even animals' voice sounds, before they started turning aggressive in the last few months, even they were saying that Justin's going with Ella, or that, and all the rest of it. And now we're getting voice sounds like Justin's being weaponed down, or Justin's going to the fire of hell for turning against Ella when I haven't turned against her. It's not that at all. I haven't turned at all. What's happened is the communication, and basically we've been cut off from each other. That's what's happened. I only ever actually saw her on that one day, on the 14th of January 2026. When I spoke to her, she said she's going there for a few months, until May, doing some work courses, but she never turned up ever again after that one day. That was it. Although they might have cut everyone's wrists, if you want to work it on the principle of the two halves of God, because obviously Justin won't be going with God, because that half is gone. So it would have to be a replacement half who is not God. So Justin would still be half a God, but would be with someone that's not a God, but at least Justin would be in a relationship and would be happy and be able to get sex if that was to occur. Now obviously it's too late when it comes to religion, because the wrists and the throat or whatever, basically they cut everyone's throat, humanity's throat, because they caused the other half of God to turn against me. But at the same time, just supposing that other half may have turned also, which I don't know about, as a possibility. If that was the case, this means that it would be the first time in living history that Jesus Christ has fallen. Meaning that God's turned the devil. But anyway, I'm not bothered about that. I don't mind if the other half of God has turned against me, but it does need to be replaced with a new girlfriend of someone that's sexual looking at someone that's nice. And then I'll see that as the other half of God instead. Even though you can't really replace God. But in my situation, I don't care if the wrists or the throat are being sliced with humanity, which may include myself, as long as I get a girlfriend. You know, if I can get a girlfriend, I'll be happy. It doesn't matter about religion. It doesn't matter if they cause that other half to turn against me, if that is to be the case. Like I said, I don't believe in all that crap. I don't believe in all this inaction crap either, which they're going on about, which they keep on applying, that they want me to be pregnant with Jesus, basically, instead of me having a girlfriend, to do it that way. But doing it in a spiteful way and telling me that I'm on my bike. But there's nothing you can do about these people that are setting this up, because they're just too small-minded and too thick in the head. Right, for the last 20 minutes I've had to put up with a few loud bike issues, and obviously a seagull's bringing up the Wayne business, saying, "You have Wayne, ha 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 ha." Well, if Wayne was good enough, I wouldn't be doing these recordings now, I wouldn't be writing stuff down, I wouldn't be photographing problems, and I wouldn't be fucking moaning about everything, would I? And also, you might as well bring up the Michael Jackson prostitute as well, which I nicknamed her that because she had a similar looking face to Michael Jackson and wanted to scam me. And according to the neighbours at my old place, it was a sly trap up, a sly set up, so that the neighbour who moved out or the neighbour who moved in could get money so that they could afford to move in or out. And it was mentioned in the corridor by two of the other people there. I won't say who they are because I don't want to get them in trouble, because it's not the right thing to do. But they're having a conversation in the hallway and saying they've done that to be really nasty. They know he's mentally ill, and then they said they know he's not. They know that I can't remember the wording, but they said it's done to be spiteful, and they know that she's not good looking as well. So yeah, that's something I just wanted to mention. Hang on a minute. This is the first time this has happened for a couple of months, for quite a few months. A seagull has just said Justin is going with Ella. This is new. This hasn't happened for months and months. That's the very first sound as I went to walk out of church. Right, I've had to go back into the church. I forgot to do a specific piece of information of the recording that I've accidentally deleted. So basically, I wanted to mention Ella quickly regarding another music track. This is Trinity Chapter 19 on V Recordings from 1994, which is on Dance Trance Doc Scott, Mission Control, 2nd of the 4th 1994 Jungle Mix. Actually, the other side of the record, the B-side, Chapter 20, is actually on Dance Trance Randall from the same event. There's a book called Mind, A Simplified Study, which resembles Ella in some ways. But that picture that they used on that book cover was also on the Dance Trance The Wedding Anniversary Part 2, 25th of the 6th, 1994 single tape mixes, which were selling for £4.99 each back in the day. So if Ella is the return of Ella, if the return of Ella is the Great Wedding, then the two half gods have been messed up, and it's too late, because they prefer it if God was to kick back in a pregnant type of way, rather than letting you have a girlfriend or sex or whatever when it comes to me, Justin. So yeah, you got that. There's a couple of other things I mentioned as well, but I deleted the recording off accidentally when I was pissing about trying to push record or delete a recording in the time period that the seagull said Justin's going with Ella when I walked out of church. That hasn't been said for months and months and months. This is the first time it's actually been said out of all the sounds out of every single day. So this is interesting because that's following the media. When it comes to the ground setups, not the media or music industry or anything like that, the ground setups are against me. And we go back about a decade ago, they were making the suggestion if anyone in America finds me a girlfriend, they'd be blowing up the White House. This ground setup that occurs, like t-shirt names or van names coming out as messages or suggestions or threats or how it comes out. So I just wanted to mention that. I mean, there's no guarantee that the media or the music industry has already turned that that half of God that's supposed to be with me. How can I be sure that she hasn't already been turned by the buckling of the government control system of information from the media and music industry, changing her way of thinking, actually causing that person to turn against me as well, splitting up the other half of God? There's always that possibility. Yeah, if we go back to when I was living in Bridgewater at West Street, when I was getting all the threats from the Palace nightclub and Squib pub, which was outside my place, and where you had scaffolding up all around my place, with these clubs open extra hours, or pubs open to like 2 or 3 in the morning, when we had the Fathers for Justice event, when they were putting new windows in the apartment I was living in. Yeah, it was very uncomfortable, and also the CCTV camera was broken, and they had a rent-a-kill van or something like that next to a Justin van, which was parked outside of the place where I used to live. Anyway, taking that out of the equation, in that sort of time period, or just a little bit before, there was someone saying that maybe you can go with a girl when she grows up in a few years' time, maybe you can go with her, So, yeah, that was said. But by the time she was, 17, she found a boyfriend. When I saw her again about a year later, she was pregnant. So how can you guarantee all this and tell people that just wait for that person to grow up and then you can try and see if you can get with that person? That's been said on a few occasions, not many, because not many people liked me in my lifetime. But when it has been said, by the time they reach legal age consent, that's it, it's too late, or even just before. You can't hold the relationship, you can't hold the friendship strong enough. They're going to get someone before you get that chance. It's always been the case. You can't rely, you can't trust. People tell me to trust in people, rely on people and put more trust into them, that they will stay single for you or whatever. That's never happened. You can't trust. They've always shit on me, so just wanted to mention that as well. Right, there's a bit of information that I've forgotten, but that's because the seagull clearly said that Justin's going with Ella when I walked out of church. I was pissing about getting confused, pushing record to stop or delete or whatever, and I accidentally deleted that recording. However, I managed to put most of it back together, so that's good enough. I just want to remind you what this Ella looks like. It looks similar to me. Got my dad's eyes. It looks very similar to the celebrity magician Izzy Simpson. So yeah, just wanted to mention that just in case I didn't mention it, because obviously thanks to a seagull saying Justin's going with Ella, I accidentally deleted the recording. It's not a very good suggestion going out. I'm about to get off the bus, by the way, because I needed a walk because I've had a hangover headache all day. At the moment it seems to be in between. I had a drink of water. It's slightly possibly getting better, but you can't tell because it drops and gets worse again. Right, so they're giving me a documentary on how to have, with a bike, upside down wheelbarrow, bike wheelies, ramming that into my private areas and just going on being pathetic like that. That's what they're doing at the moment with the setups. So in total, it's been about 800 bike issues today. Yeah, it's bike wheelies. Making a suggestion of ejaculation on a bike, suggesting that you can't come off your bike, that you're on your bike. There's a van that says on your scooter is a new van name, and you've had a couple of van names which will offend my father, so I'm not going to mention what they are. Also, there's a regular suggestion set up, just basically to say that Ella's not single. She's in a relationship. Like I said, I don't know the full story of this. Like I said, I saw her on the 15th, so that's the last I saw her, but I can't guarantee it was her. But I'm very unsure what the situation is because I haven't seen her since the 14th of January. Also, there's a lot of maliciousness with the black and blue style cars, and also timing weapon-shaped vehicles or getting aggressive in that erratic way to make that malicious suggestion on top of the bike issue. Right, there's a couple of normal types of people with a calm attitude that firmly said this: hang on, that's Justin's girlfriend that lad is with. So, and the woman said after that, he's not friendly looking either. So, if there is a girlfriend for me, it's been taken by someone. I don't know who, because that was said. And these people were actually looking at me as if when they were talking to each other regarding that. Right, the other thing is molested Sadie said by one of the ambulance workers down by the bus station at about just after 7:15 on the 26th of the 8th, 2026. Some teen girls, about 14, incidentally had the ring. They had a ring on their finger, so yeah, as always, below the legal age of consent. Anyway, they said molested Stephanie. And there's one other thing, where is it? A couple of gun suggestions. No, it was a little bit before. That was going back to where I was earlier. Hang on. There hasn't been many setups since I've been back. Just a bike issue. There has been a couple of racing cars that are gun looking. Or one that was towed as well. What else is there? I think that's basically good enough.